In this video, I'm going to be sharing 4 different tips to instantly improve the way you hit the heavy bag. Let's get right into this.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the win.
Alright, so the first tip I have for you, most important tip out of them all. Number 1, you treat your bag like it is your opponent, alright? Visualizing your opponent right in front of you. So even if you've never boxed before in a ring or had contact with anyone, it's still good to understand that the moves that you make need to be applied somehow, even if it's just through your imagination. You're never just gonna walk up to your opponent, no boxing stance, hands down, and then start throwing at them. You're never gonna take a break in front of your opponent with your hands down. Visualize the opponent, and the more you start to get into boxing, start to watch more fights, start to get more into your own training, start to study other fighters, you'll start to understand what the opponents like to do to you as a boxer. And that way, when you're hitting the heavy bag, you can visualize those same exact moves being done to you and react to them. Imagination and visualization is very, very key when you're boxing on your own, on the bag, or even shadow boxing. That'll segue into our next tip, which is set up your punches properly. Meaning, if you've ever boxed before at a competitive level, put their time in, you'll start to understand you can't just throw a punch at somebody and expect it to land. It needs to be set up one way, 2 ways, 3 ways, multiple ways. Meaning, let me cover this again. You can't just come up to your opponent and throw a big right hand and understand that it'll land. The opponent will have some skills to react to it. You need to set up every punch, every combination somehow. So, a couple examples here. You could use your jab to set up a big power shot. You could use your head movement to set up a shot, or you can even use your footwork to set up a shot as well. Understand, it is very, very unrealistic to just be throwing, wailing hard punches on the bag or hard punches on your opponent and thinking it's gonna land that way. Very few times does that really happen when you're boxing somebody. Use your moves, your defense, your jab, your feints, your footwork to set up your power punches. And let's go into the third tip right here. If this bag is your opponent and you're within jabs range of your opponent, meaning you could touch your opponent with your jab or they can touch you with their jab, you want to always stay active. Tip number 3, always stay moving your head, moving your feet, or moving your hands, throwing those punches. So you're either moving your head in between, or you're moving your feet, or you're letting your hands go. Again, you're either throwing combinations, moving your head, or moving your feet. Always staying active on that heavy bag. Never standing still, thinking about what you're gonna throw, throwing that combination, and standing still right after. Stay active. And for my beginners, simplify it. Maybe light bounce on the toes. In between, you stick to one move, or just slipping side to side as you throw your combinations. Start to form some habits of movement in between your combinations. Start to form some habits of movement when you are close to your bag. Create those habits now as a beginner, as you're drilling on your own, as you're visualizing on your own. That way, if you do ever end up boxing somebody, it starts to become a little more natural for you to do the same habits that you've been practicing. And the 4th and final tip is this. If this bag is your opponent, remember our tip number 1, the number 1 rule, the most important one. If this bag is your opponent and you feel that you've been letting your hands go, shoulders are starting to get tired, heart rate is starting to get elevated, and you need to take a breather, and this is your opponent, simply take a step or 2 back and then shake your arms off. Stay light on your feet, stay loose and relax. You would never drop your hands and take a breather right in front of your opponent where it's a little more dangerous. Take that distance away to catch your breath. So let's recap one more time. Tip number 1, treat this bag like your opponent. Tip number 2, set up your punches, your combinations realistically. Tip number 3, you're always punching, you're always moving your head, or you're always moving your feet, you stay moving at all times. And tip number 4, if you need to take a breather from all that movement or from being active in front of that bag, you take the proper distance away, take that step back, and catch your breath. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a little bit from it. And if so, please take the time to subscribe, like the video, share the video, maybe leave a comment. My name is Jeremiah. I hope you tune into another video soon. Until next time, peace.